All right, folks, welcome back to the channel and happy Halloween. Instead of my beach towel, I've got my very festive bat table covering here because it is indeed Halloween. And trick or treat, I just received my new Saber Tactical chassis for the Air Venturi Avenge-X. So I do believe I finally get to join the cool kids club with this accessory. So I haven't even opened the box yet. So we'll take a look at what's inside it. I've also got some other accessories that we're going to need to install this on the Air Venturi X Classic, which is just a basic UTG stock. I picked this up for like 60 bucks. It includes the buffer tube and everything already in it. I grabbed that from Primary Arms. Also from Primary Arms is a B5 Type 22 AR pistol grip. We've got our metric Allen keys here and then some Vibratite just to make sure the screws stay put. And this is great stuff. It'll seal to 10,000 PSI if you use it correctly. So I'll leave links for all this stuff in the comments, but let's go ahead and check out the Saber Tactical chassis for this thing. Haven't even opened it yet. It seems to be nicely packaged. Okay, we'll get the packaging out of the way and open this thing up. And as always with Saber Tactical stuff, the machining quality on it is always second to none. So, okay, so it looks like they have the screws taped in, and you will notice this is the bottle version. It looks like you can undo a couple of screws here and take this front section off if you were to upgrade to the bottle. And if I just said bottle version, I meant this is the tube version. So we've got the tube version chassis, and I've just got bottles on my mind because eventually I do want to upgrade this to the bottle, but this chassis will let you do it because you can swap out the front part there. Anyway, you've got your screw for the AR grip. The other screw that goes into the chassis or into the rifle itself is in the chassis. And then you've got the two side ones right there that go in, and they are all stainless steel. What you're also going to get with this thing is a back cover for, you'll see where this comes into play later, but this basically will go like right here and cover up the little gap that's left there. You're also going to get this adapter, which we are not going to use. This adapter lets you use the funky threads and buttstock that come on the Avenge-X Tactical. So we don't need that. So that gets thrown, and let's go ahead and start installing this thing. We'll figure it out together. I did minimal research on this, so I think I know what to do, but basically we need to remove the, I think it's just 4 screws on the Avenge-X Classic. It's one of these on either side. I think it's both of these and then one up here. So let's do that. I believe these are all, the ones you need to remove are 4s. Nope, I'm incorrect. Still incorrect. So it looks like, and we're going to do this with the scope on and everything. Okay, so that was a 2.5. So this one goes through to the barrel band, I think. So we'll remove that. Set that aside. Then those ones I think are 4s. We'll remove those. And I do believe I have to remove both of them. I'm not sure. We'll find out when we take the thing out of the stock. So we got those 2. Note the short one in front, the long one in the back. We'll put those over in our screw pile. And then I should be able to just pop this out with a 2.5. Okay, very good. And I can feel it loosening up in there. And we'll get rid of this guy here. And although I have a magazine in the gun, it's sitting on an empty chamber. So before I get too many of you yapping at me in the comments, let's just go ahead and take that magazine out. And we'll just decock it. And now it's definitely sitting on an empty chamber. But I think that's going to do it. We should be able to remove this now. Okay, so that was very simple. We've got the stock off of the rifle. And let's just take a good look under here. So it looks like the longer screw went here, the shorter screw went here. I think we only need the shorter screw for this, and then we got the two side ones. So we will remove this barrel band for sure. You can slide that right off. I'm going to take off the knurled caps on the end here. And, you know, like I said, you don't need to degas the gun or anything here. Probably don't have a magazine in it or anything, or, you know, one in the chamber just in case for safety's sake. But we're going to go ahead and remove that. And I am a big proponent of free floating barrels. So I don't know that we're going to use this barrel band with this. A lot of people don't. We do have some flex in the barrel there, I noticed. And it does seem like it's wanting to droop downward. So we'll see. Maybe we'll still use that. You can still use it, but it'll maybe look a little awkward. So there's the gun. We are going to go ahead and just take these tapes off, and we'll save our screws over here. It's nice that they do this so you know exactly where the screws go. All right, and there's the bottom one. And it looks like that's all that you need to attach it. So I don't think we're going to use somewhere to attach with that big long screw like we did in the back. So there's the chassis. Trigger guard is removable, but it's already installed, so we don't have to worry about that. And let's go ahead and drop this thing in here and see how it looks. Okay, it's going to fit just about like that. I can see the screw holes going through there. So we'll go ahead and start putting this in. And I'm not going to get it super tight or anything yet. Just kind of snug it up a bit. We'll put this guy in. You know what I forgot to do? Fiber tight. So let's do that. So for this Vibra Tight, what I like to do is get my screw like this. And you don't need much of this stuff. We just want to, so just like that is probably fine. We just want to snug this up with that on it so that we minimize the chances of it loosening up later. So we will also do this one. And look, so you can see I don't have much threads where that goes in. So we want to be pretty gentle with this, because if you're entering a battle and you are a steel screw and your opponent is an aluminum gun body, you are 100% going to win if you get cross-threaded or something in there. So we'll do that. Flip over to this side, grab our other screw. Add a little bit of Vibra Tight on there. And then we'll screw that one in. And these should go in very smooth like they are. They should not be binding or anything. If you're binding, stop what you're doing. You're doing it wrong, and get it threaded correctly. So I'm just going to torque them in a little bit. And we'll torque the bottom one in a little bit. And that's all it's really going to take. So now we've got the gun in the chassis. And you'll notice the chassis has an ARCA rail on the bottom and a pick rail, which is nice. Also M-LOK slots on all sides. That is a QD sling attachment point. And I also have one on my UTG stock there. So we'll see if we can maybe mount a sling later. But that's what it's going to look like. And here you have the cover that goes right there once we're all said and done. I might not even use this because I kind of want access to the hammer spring. But so far so good. Now what we'll do is let's go ahead and remove the included grip screw. We'll start making this thing look like a gun. Take this bad boy out. Very nice. I got the gray color just because I'm weird and I like to have differently colored stuff. Okay, so it's going to be a 5mm Allen key right there. We'll do the old Vibratite just a little bit there. Looking pretty good. Now this is always the challenging part. Getting the screw in the hole of the grip before we start. So do that. There we go. And this is just going to slide on like that. Get the thread started there, okay? And you just want to snug that up pretty nicely. You don't have to gorilla torque it on there or anything. Okay, starting to get tight. All right, there we go. Just a little bit of torque. Now we're starting to look like a gun. And what I'll do is I'll run over and grab my AR buffer tube tool in a moment, which I don't have with me right now. I should have thought of that. But let's take a look at this thing. So this is just a standard UTG one. It actually looks really nice, and it is sort of the SOP mod design. I see it's got some, how do we take these bad boys out? Looks like it's got some battery compartments or something in here. I'll figure that out later. Usually they're up at the front like on a B5 stock. Now for this, do mind yourself because there is a compressed spring in there. So we do not need a buffer spring, nor do we need an AR buffer, but I'll save that for my other AR-15s. What we don't also need is the buffer plate, but we do need the stock itself and the buffer tube. So what you can do on these is usually you can pull this up, and you're going to have to free up that. There's a pin that goes into each of the positions. On this stock, it looks like that's the standard adjustment, and usually you can just pull these real hard and get it to release. Okay, there it is. All right, there we go. So there's the buffer tube. We're going to leave the castle nut on there because even though it does have this screw to hold it in, I'm going to secure it with the castle nut. And usually you would stake, in these little staking holes, you would stake the castle nut to your buffer plate by smacking it with a tool designed for that, or in my case, usually just a punch. But we don't use that, so we're not going to need it. Let's go ahead and get this thing threaded in here. This is a mil-spec standard AR-15 buffer tube. So we'll get it screwed in. And wow, it threads in quite a bit. I'm going to see where the stopping point is. Loosen up my castle nut a bit. Okay, so it wants to stop right about there. I'm going to get her nice and level with the grip. Looks like that's pretty good. And I'm going to go grab a AR-15 buffer tube tool. Here's an AR armorer's wrench. I've had this thing for 1 billion years. It is well used. And that's what we're going to use to tighten up that buffer tube castle nut. So first, I'm just making sure this thing looks like it's straight up and down. And then hopefully you guys can see this. It's kind of awkward with me sitting at this table. But what you want to do is snug that up, get that buffer tube nice and tight. And for the purposes right now, I'll straighten that up later, but just for the video, we're going to leave it like that for now. What I can do is tighten this down. It looked pretty straight. Of course, you're going to want to make sure that you have it really straight, or even some people like it canted a little bit. Like if you're a right-hand shooter, you can cant it in just slightly to make it more comfortable for when you shoulder the rifle. But for now, we'll just go ahead and get this guy tightened up in there. And man, I think that's starting to look pretty cool. And the gray wolf colored B5 grip is pretty cool. So, all right, I got that tightened in there. That should be good. For the buffer tube, again, we're going to have to use some strength here to yank that out past the, there we go. Now we essentially have and installed stock. The only thing left to do is put this guy in. Now, I'm probably going to do a retune on this, so I'm not going to put this in, but it's very self-explanatory. It just goes right in there, and it's just the one screw, and then you're done. So that's it. That is the installation of the Saber Tactical chassis for the Avenge-X. And man, that thing looks pretty cool. And now we can have an adjustable stock. And one cool benefit of the adjustable stock is obviously configuring it so that it fits you best, but also it will now fit in shorter cases, which is cool because it's kind of a long gun with the original stock. So maybe it'll fit in a case with a suppressor, which I don't currently have on there. But there it is, guys. I hope this one was helpful for you guys. And stay tuned because I'm probably going to do another video on, now that I have the chassis, can I use this in NRL 22 and actually have any success? So if I win a match, my first match of the month, usually I shoot 2 to 3. If I happen to win my first one and I'm not risking my standings, I might be willing to use this in an NRL 22 match if I can get a decent high power tune on it. So stay tuned because I'll probably do something like that. And then we'll also do a caliber change with this thing to 25 caliber. Currently it's in 22. Anyway, there's the installation. Hope it was helpful. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.